Hey guys, it's Chuck from Brady Adventures, and in this episode of our dual battery install, we are going to be running our 2-gauge wire from our auxiliary battery area all the way to the rear of the vehicle where we're going to distribute that power to our accessories. So enjoy. Okay, I've got my 2-gauge wires run through the firewall. So the reason we went with 2-gauge wire was so that we would have flexibility moving forward. It's definitely overkill for the 100 amp fuse block, but it's not if we wanted to run a second high amperage load in the back, something like a large inverter. This is going to give us the flexibility to do that. And I'm ready to crimp these guys. The crimper that I have is really a metric one, so 35 is going to be the closest to 2-gauge that I have, so that's what I'm going to use. It's a little bit bigger than 2-gauge, so I'm really hoping this is going to work out okay. This is the first crimp that I've done. This is called an eyelet. I slid it down on the wire, and then the tool crushes this thing onto the wire, and then I put this on here and heated it up so it shrunk on there. Look over here. Have you seen it yet?
No.
Oh, okay. Do you want to see all the stuff that I've done?
Yeah.
Okay, so I pulled the wires, I drilled the hole through the firewall, right? And I put this rubber boot down there. And these wires are going to go to the back to power the fridge and everything else. One of these blue wires goes to the battery monitor, and one of these blue wires goes to the switch. So before I do anything, I need to put my shrink wrap on there, because if I don't have the shrink wrap on, when I start to work on it, if I don't have the shrink wrap on here, I won't be able to get it on later. So this is 2-gauge wire, so it says 2-gauge, and it has 3/8 because that's the size of that hole that it's going to go on the battery terminal. So what I have to do is I have to trim off the rubber insulation so that this wire will fit down in there. So I'm gonna wrap this tape right around this little sheathing, because that's going to make this easy to put on. Now watch, I just kind of held it in my hand and twisted it. Yeah, kind of screwed it on. We're going to take these scissors and just very carefully work them around like that.
Batman.
Is the crimper. And we want this little lip to be right up against this. These are called the die. Right up against the die. So what I'm going to do, yep, you hold still, and you hold it just like that, and I'm gonna start to pump it, and then when it gets on there a little bit, make sure I want to get it right up against that die, and then I want to make sure it's up against the wire, and then I want to just crimp it until it's all the way flat. Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to check it and hope it's good to go. So look how that made, see how that squished it? It was round and now it squished it?
Yeah.
Now watch. That means it's a good crimp. It's stuck on there real tight. So now, watch.
What if it's a bad crimp?
Well, then you have to redo it and you have to get a new one of these pieces. So look, now I'm going to move that up on there. Now watch. That's totally, the wire's protected. It's got the shrink wrap on there.
Is it hot?
It's just warm. It's not too hot. Yep.
That feels good.
So that's gonna,
The metal is hot.
that is gonna attach onto the battery right over here where the battery just sits in there. So 2 down and a bazillion to go.
Brazilian?
Running the wire down the kick plate from the firewall and into the channel was pretty easy. All right guys, real quick, I just wanted to let you know that there's another route that you can run your wire to the rear of the vehicle. I do know some people who have ran their wire on the outside of the vehicle, straight down over the front wheel well, down to the frame rail, and on the top side of the frame rail to the back of the vehicle, up through a rubber grommet under the second row seating. I considered that and was actually almost going to go with that, but I just couldn't get over the fact that that wire would be exposed. I know there's some places you can tuck it up and hide it, but I just got worried that it might get hit at some point, causing me a problem. Went ahead and decided to go inside the vehicle instead, but wanted you to know that that option was out there. I think it's going to go into the channel just fine all the way up until this wire here, and then I need to go up on this carpet, and then I think I'm going to try to get it up to where it's over here in the channel again. Okay, so I'm going to slide it to you.
Yeah.
So this is going to basically go back along here. you got it.
I don't. It looks like I do, but I don't. I got it.
Cool. We just got to make sure we're not screwing with any other wires.
Whoa,
slow.
What? I'm going. I'm not even pulling.
Don't worry.
I'm not even pulling.
Alright, so got the wire ran under here to the back. I've got the wires crimped. Now that I have the main wires crimped and the boot siliconed and everything, now I can put all this back in, get all this wiring done. I still need to pull the wire up through the wheel well trim back there. I think I'm going to be able to do that without actually pulling the drawers out. But anyway, that's what I'll do next. The trim panels around the door are held with plastic clips that are easily removed and reattached if you have a panel tool. The center pillar was a little bit more challenging, but not too bad. The glove box itself is easy to remove and install, just requires removing a few screws and electric plugs. Alright, now I've got to figure out how to get this wire up through this, and I'm going to run it right up underneath the drawers right there. So I'm just going to take the seat belt out and then pop this panel off a little bit more just so I can get in there easily and try to find a nice route where the wire doesn't get pinched too much. The seat belt comes right out and the panel pops away easily from the side of the vehicle with just a handful of plastic clips. Okay, so right under here there's room for the wire to run, and then it gets real tight up against everything once you get up to here. This is all right up against the wheel well. So I'm going to make a cut right here for the wires to just travel up here and come out. Not ideal. I might even put something to cover the wire here once I get it in, but that's how it's going to be. It absolutely kills me to cut on the vehicle like this, but there was no other real straightforward way to get the wires routed through there. Removing the drawers and coming up with a completely different route may have worked, but it wasn't an option at the time. Whew. Alright, so I've got all this back together again. It was a tight fit. There is a fin down here that I just kind of had to straighten out, and then I had to cut this. I cut it a little too far back, and I can actually move the wires in and out, so I know they're not getting pinched anywhere, so that's a good thing. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some sort of plastic hard sheathing to put over this, because I just wanted them to be tucked up under here and protected, but that's gonna be pretty good. Just be careful in this area. So now the wiring from the engine compartment back to here is complete. I'm gonna finish up what's up under the hood, get the primary and the secondary battery and the MLACR switch all hooked together, and then once I get that done, then I'm gonna come back here and finish up the power distribution center for the accessories, which is gonna be right back in this rectangle over here on the driver's side. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. And always feel free to leave us any comments or questions that you might have.